Yeah. So I don't worry about it as much as I probably should. I haven't my whole entire life. I have an 88-year-old mother who still looks probably like she's in her 60s.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Good genes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you have to have as you begin to age. You have to have a good colorist and good genes. That's what I always say.
Good
I've
hair,
also
good
heard face
genetics. I
yoga.
like that.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to let everybody roll in here for just another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll get started. Yeah. So I always say good colorists, good genes, and you should be set.
That's the
And
key to life.
face yoga. Has anyone else heard of face yoga? I don't know. I've heard a lot about doing face yoga to keep your
Face yoga.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that is.
Like there's all sorts of different gestures that you can make every morning, and it's supposed to like tone the muscles in your face so that you look younger.
No, but I'm gonna look it up right after this video after I can see myself on all up close and personal.
That's what we'll be doing in the morning in Louisville in a few weeks, Amanda. We'll incorporate it into the schedule.
We will. We have to block off face yoga time. Everybody, it'll be a hit. I think that'll be a really well attended session.
Oh my goodness. So that must be the term of the day, face yoga. That's the one that we're going to use anyway, because I don't have a different one for this week. But let's get started here. This is the last week in mortgage today. I'm Faith Howard Mooney, VP of Member Engagement from the Mortgage Collaborative. And as you can see, I have two lovely women with me today. Both have a lot of spirit. So this should be just a fantastic conversation. I have Amanda Morrow, who is the Director of Investor Relations from Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group with us.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
And Hiedi Patalamo, who is the Editor-in-Chief of National Mortgage News. Thanks for joining me, Hiedi.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Yeah, and we're going to start off just with Amanda. I would love it if you can just share just a little bit about Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group and who you are as a company.
Yeah, sure. So Atlantic Bay is headquartered out of Virginia Beach. We're primarily in the mid-Atlantic, so roughly, 17 states now. Again, all retail business, maybe 350, 400 loan officers. We're privately owned. Two brothers, Brian and Stan, own our company. And what I think is also really cool, we have our of our five executives, 4 of the 5 in our C-suite are women. So I always joke with everybody when you're looking for all the women in the mortgage industry that they all work at Atlantic Bay. So that's kind of fun. That's a little bit about our culture, though.
Yeah.
And we are we practice what we preach, rather, about our core values. So inspiring growth, have fun, and genuinely care. And we really try to make those not like your tagline or your slogan, but something that you like, live, and breathe by. So practice what we preach.
Yep. Absolutely love that. And that does fall in line right with who you are. So
yeah, good fit.
you are a good fit. And so we have, number one, we found out before we started this call that we're doing an early celebration of Amanda's birthday, which is on Saturday. So we've got that surprise for her. And then we also have a different surprise for her, because one of the reasons why Hiedi is joining us today is National Mortgage News is involved every year in publishing the best companies in mortgage. And so I'm going to let you share the news with Amanda about why it's such a great thing that she was a guest on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we've done the best mortgage companies to work for this is our 6th annual ranking of those companies. And we do an overall ranking, which we launched on Monday. And then each day this week, we're launching by category. So the employers that have under 99 people on staff, the best company to work for with 100 to 499 people on staff. And so the best large mortgage company to work for is Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. So I just wanted to say congratulations. So out of the large companies that applied for our ranking, Atlantic Bay came out on top. And so just to tell you more about the survey, and so congratulations, Amanda.
Thank
Yay!
you. It's so exciting. That's really awesome. That's great news. And I'm sure everybody will be celebrating, and I'm sure marketing will have a field day, but that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys have been great. You've been participants in the program several years running. And one of what we're looking for, I'll just tell you some background about how this is done, how this ranking is done. We have, let's see, we have extensive employee surveys and reviews. So the employees themselves are participating and vouching for the companies and what they do for their employees. So we're asking them questions about leadership, about corporate culture and communications, role satisfaction, work environment, their relationships with their supervisors, like training and development, what kinds of resources they provide, the benefits, and their overall engagement. And the employee survey is weighted at 75% of the score, and then the employer questionnaire is 25%. So really like taking into account that these employees love this company. And so that's what put you there. And certainly I know in the responses, Atlantic Bay has a lot of programs that are really interesting in serving their staff, but also, of course, the community at large. Like, so I don't want to put you on the spot about any of them, but maybe if you do, I don't know, Amanda, want to talk about any of the programs you're particularly proud of at Atlantic Bay that would, that speak to serving the staff or helping the staff grow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said originally, like one of our core values is we inspire growth, right? So that all that checks out. That makes sense. We've really invested in our workforce. Obviously, like happy employees means better production, better company. It goes in line with our culture. But Atlantic Bay really puts a lot into training, development, personal and professional accreditations, education. I mean, whatever it is that you're looking for from a growth perspective, our company is so supportive. Again, because it goes in line with one of our core values. I'm not surprised that like your employee satisfaction scores were really high and that everybody had such good feedback, because we have found that investing in our team has just paid dividends tenfold, right? So, we put a big value on executive coaching for some of our senior leadership members, or, I have my AMP through the MBA and different programs like that. My boss is a CMB. So like we do try to put a lot into our team and making them feel supported. Something Chrissy said to me before, which always rings true, is you want to invest in your people because they're like, well, what if you invest in them and they leave? But she said, well, what if you don't invest in them and they stay? Like, it's better for us as a company to put those things out there and those support resources. And it's one of those, like, you get what you put into it, right? So that's awesome. I love that it was all employee satisfaction, because that would make sense.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing? I know you've been at Atlantic Bay for a while now. What is your favorite thing about Atlantic Bay? Because you really, to me, demonstrate all of those core values that they have. So what's your favorite thing about the company that you work for?
I think one thing that it's personal and it's just so different. Again, I touched on it earlier. The amount of women that we have in leadership positions and on our executive leadership team. I think that's something I hear at lots of the different conferences are about a lack of a female presence or female involvement. I'm like, I don't have that. I joke, all women in the mortgage industry work at Atlantic Bay, but I do think it makes you stand out. I think it's something that's different and it's a strength for us. I think we as a company too, we focus on having a lot of diverse initiatives. Like we never put all our eggs in one basket. We have our branded family of companies. So we have other lines of business where we've been able to have growth and generate revenue, and those things help you. And, everybody's had a rough 2 years. And so when everybody else is having a rough 2 years, like we're still in growth mode. And I do think a lot of that comes from just having women leadership. Like I report to our COO, Chrissy Brown, and she's a woman, and our chief risk officer and our chief lending officer and our CFO, and just having that strong female empowerment at the top. Again, it's Women's History Month. It's like so fitting, right? I think that's something just different that I haven't seen anywhere else. So
yeah, Amanda, one thing I wanted to mention and highlight about your company that was so interesting, this program, I'm gonna maybe not say this correctly, the Bahia the Bay. So it's a hub of tools and resources and support for Spanish speaking mortgage bankers. And it just seems so smart to support this community, of course, like on a practical level, on a personal level, on a cultural level. And you know, we also know like Hispanic homebuyers are a growing portion of our home buyers. So I don't know if you have anything to add about that, but I just thought that was really cool. It stuck out to me in what we were reading about Atlantic Bay and what they do.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about it's La Bahia, which means the Bay. So for Atlantic Bay
I
Mortgage
knew I
Group.
was going to say it wrong. Pardon me.
No, you're good. So it is our Hispanic driven initiative. And, you know, we do cater to a certain group, and we have Spanish speaking processors and Spanish speaking servicing employees. So we are trying to make it a better borrower experience from beginning to end, right? So it's not just we have a mortgage banker that speaks Spanish and they can help you through the process, but do we have somebody in their processing that can support them? Do we have somebody for once the loan closes in servicing that can support them? You know, servicing was a big win for us over the last 2 years. We've gotten a pretty significant portfolio, and what are we doing from an end-to-end perspective for the borrowers? So that's another thing Atlantic Bay does really well, again, because we are in that growth mode, looking for those other initiatives. What are different ways that we can impact the community and our industry? And La Bahia has been a great win for us. And again, I'm a little biased. I was born in Spain, so like it's a soft spot. But no, it really has been another good initiative. I said that we've tried to really diversify our projects that we're involved with, as well as opportunities like that, and more affordable housing focus as well through our Smart Path program too.
Yep. Well, we are very happy. You've been very engaged with us here at the Mortgage Collaborative, and so happy to be able to share the news with you today. We're also super happy about anybody in the chat. I mean, give me a shout out if you're from any of these companies as well, because out of the 33 companies in the big long list, we have 12 lender members that are in the TMC family in that list. So I'm going to run down the list of everybody who is in there. So Truliant Federal Credit Union, FBC, Revolution Mortgage, Mortgage Investors Group, Van Dyke Mortgage Corporation, Lennar, Method Mortgage, Republic State, Highlands Residential, Yes Atlantic Bay, Town Mortgage Company, and Man Mortgage. And so we had somebody in every single category of large to small, which I think is just so fabulous and just shares with the world what we all know here at TMC, that we have a lot of really great, talented, caring mortgage professionals that are in our network, and just love all of the people that we get to interact with every day. So got a lot of smart.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, smart people. And I also just wanted to add that, like, you know, I'm looking through all of these forms and what everybody submitted and all of these photos of these teams that are doing things together. Like they're doing activities together. They're doing like community service together. And it's really heartwarming to see like so much effort and energy being put into that, and how everyone just seems to be glowing also in those pictures. You know, they're happy to be together, and like you can really see how effective it is to make an effort to put these programs into play. And also, just one other thing I thought about, and that you kind of hit on already, is that if you make a great environment to work at, it's kind of its own recruitment mechanism, because people say, hey, I work at this company, I love it, like you should come in with us and you should be a part of it. And you know, that was one thing that some of the sources said in some of our features about it. So go to nationalmortgagenews.com to check it out.
And Jennifer and Alice, and we have some people in our audience who are at other places. So Jennifer from Truliant, and Alice, I lost you here, from Revolution. Congratulations to you and your teams too. Make sure and share the news with your teams that we celebrated with you on here. We are very, very happy to have you all within our TMC family. So how fun. What a great way to start things off today. So yeah, great news for everyone. Very uplifting.
And Faith, you said you guys have 12 of the whatever 30 are TMC members.
33.
Well, that's like 18, 20 other members that need to go join TMC. And so
I know.
like, look, your other half of this list are all TMC members. And
I am working on that. Lists are always multi-purpose things for me, as you probably are well aware that I am working on that. I've done some investigating on that ever since Heidi shared it with me yesterday. So we will work on that and make that number even stronger, because we want great companies to continue to join us and work with the other great companies that we already have within our network. So
we
yeah.
look forward to meeting those 18 other new members at your conference in Kentucky, right?
Maybe, well, probably not in 3 weeks, but maybe some of them in Denver, right? In September. So yeah, there is absolutely nothing that we would love more. We're always looking for those best in class people to come join us and learn what we are all about, and us be able to help them as well as they continue to grow, expand, and need resources within the entire mortgage space. So yeah, very exciting. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. We did not know that that's where you were going to end up. So good for us. We were
great
timing. Hedging our bets there.
Hedging our bets. I liked it.
A little bit. Yeah. So let's move on and talk about some other things in mortgage. I love to look at like what certain markets are doing in the mortgage space right now, because we all know, I mean, no matter who you are in mortgage, you know that rates are up a little bit, volume's down. But one of the things that's, not helping with that plight is the fact that housing and affordable housing is very hard to find in some markets. So I love to look at what other markets are doing, or what some of the markets in the United States are doing in order to try to make that better, knowing that it's baby steps, right? There's not going to be, if there was one like easy solution to all of this, like one of the strong women at Atlantic Bay would have come up with it already. It would have already happened. And so there's not one easy answer. So when I was looking at things today, I found an article. It was actually it's in Colorado, that's where our conference will be in September, from September 8th to 10th. They've allocated millions of dollars to government and housing organizations to plan to build affordable lending units. Some of it, $80 million to local governments and housing organizations. It's called Proposition 123 in Colorado, apparently, where they have to agree to build 3% or more of affordable housing every year for the next 3 years. And some of them are building more of the traditional, I'm going to build affordable housing. Some of them are actually purchasing land because we know that in some places, land is maybe one of the biggest barriers for building. And so, yeah, doing that with those types of initiatives. Amanda, in the markets that you're in, are you seeing any of this in other places that you're lending?
Yeah, I think that, so like I said, we have an affordable housing initiative. It's called Smart Path. So it's not only focused on our internal employees, but also our borrower experience. And we've gotten really creative over the past year or two that, again, have been tougher markets, at figuring out what other products and resources do we have for our borrowers. I compared it to somebody the other day of like student loans. You know how there's so many student loans out there where there's like these grants and things that go unclaimed. There's a lot of that for your borrowers, right? So with Smart Path, we are looking at all these different down payment assistance programs. Some are forgivable, repayable, what have you, but all these different little counties have all their own funds and resources for borrowers where that they can get this extra bit of help. So something that we've done is we focused on those products. We've made sure we're signed up with the HFA in every state that we're licensed in, or at least working towards that. And so signing up with different HFAs, offering different Smart Path programs, again, these onesie twosie county programs for DPAs and grants. We have rolled out more DPA products just to give your borrowers that extra hand. So I think that that's something that people are looking at now is more your product suite and is what you're offering really what's best for your borrowers. It's not like just what it used to be, right? Where it was just like conventional and jumbo or conventional and government, but like what other creative niche products you have out there, ITIN programs, things like that to offer more resources for affordable lending. So that's something that we've really focused on over the past 2 years, especially.
Yeah. And one of the things, I mean, I've known this for a while and I've been out of the actual lending space for a while as well. But one of the things that I think that people just in maybe in the general public, maybe people in mortgage know it, but in the general public, people buying houses don't know. A lot of those DPA programs are stackable.
Yes, you can put them together, and then before you know it, then you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 grand that you can put down towards your down payment and just that extra assistance that you need. And that's what I mean when you can layer those county programs on top of the program that's already got a DPA. Well, now you've got a good chunk to help you put that borrower in the home to kind of combat some of those higher interest rate markets.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's probably safe to say that it continues to be down payment, continues to be one of the biggest barriers for people getting in a house, that beginning of wealth and earning, that money. A lot of that happens after you're in your home, but that initial outlay of cash sometimes is one of the hardest things for people to find.
Yeah.
I think so. Great news that we are going there. Just in Colorado, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority received 113 letters of intent of organization. Yeah, just in Colorado. So, obviously it's a need that is everywhere. About 10% of those requests were fulfilled. So there's a huge additional need out there for additional funding sources. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about today is
actually, Faith, one thing, sorry to,
Yeah.
I was quiet for a minute there because I was frantically searching for links to some stories I wanted to share with you guys about things that we've covered to do with this.
Oh, perfect.
So one of our reporters, Spencer Lee, wrote this article last month, Cities Paving the Path to Homeownership with Cash. And it rounded up a bunch of states that are offering these incentives for people to move there, basically, and to live there as residents. So I will share that in the chat. I thought it was so interesting because, I mean, for somebody that's going to align perfectly with what they want to do, so I'm just going to drop it in the chat. I hope you don't mind.
No, go right ahead. Great resources.
Yeah.
And then reading that one.
Yeah. I'm so glad that this came up because it made things start firing off in my brain. One other thing was the house hacking article that we did, which was about when you're buying a property and you factor in rental income into the underwriting, right? And how Gen Z kind of feels like it's so impossible for them to even conceive of owning a house. But this is an approach that people are taking that might make it more like something within reach for them. So anyway,
that one was, I remember that article, the article on house hacking, because that was a term that I had not heard before. And I think we talked about that during this show. Yeah. Actually, right. How, Gen Z has a different impression and, part of their path to home ownership has become buying a house, but knowing that they're buying the house and having renters in the house with them to begin gaining that wealth so they can move on eventually and buy maybe the house that they really want, versus their initial home. So those are two great articles. Everybody check them out from National Mortgage News. One of the other things that I saw this week that I thought was kind of interesting, and it's come up before, that municipalities and everything like that, not necessarily keeping up with the demand for new housing builds and those types of things with, the restrictions on, whether it be water, sewer, and those types of things, or whether it's the actual land use. So in Oregon, which I think, all of us probably have known or seen in the past, they had a 1970s law that was used to prevent suburban sprawl. So they were trying to prevent things like, some of the neighborhoods that I'm sure that we all are in today. I'm in suburbia, so I'm in them all the time. But strip malls, right next to housing, and and not that big shopping malls are a thing anymore, but other establishments that support consumers all day long. And they are looking at, part of it is because of their green reputation. So they want things to remain green. They want open space in their communities and those types of things. But in some of their communities, what it's done is you've built a small like housing development, and then there's like literally nothing around it at all. And so you've got this little community kind of like out there. And they're trying to change that a little bit and still combat the anti-sprawl, so that you still have green space and all of those things. But they're trying to get 30% of these cities of 2,500 residents or more into the state agency approval program, to get rid of that 1970s law that really just frees up more land for smaller developments to be built on. Again, baby steps. In some communities, like ones that they have, 30 homes is like a huge deal. Whereas when you're in the suburban sprawl that I know that I'm in, 30 homes doesn't seem like that much, but when you start adding those all together. So just curious to see, if either one of you have heard or have seen of things where people are kind of changing some of their laws related to, either building houses or communities in home ownership.
I am probably not up to date on my laws as much as I should be for that, but I do think that there is an effort to try to ease some of those restrictions. Like you mentioned, like I get the point of you want to have a lot of green space, but like then you don't have anybody that can live in it, right? Like there's nobody who can enjoy the green space that you're fighting so hard to keep. Like it's a balance. And that's easier in some areas than others, right? Like I live outside of Philadelphia and downtown, like it's done. There is nowhere else to build. It is full unless you go up. And there are some, just from our personal experience, rules that they have been looking at with like how wide homes have to be. And you've got some really narrow homes, like I'm talking 12 feet from like here to your TV wall. But they're just trying to fit them anywhere you can right now. So I'm not sure about how much of an impact that's making, but I know people are trying, right? I mean, that's all we can do.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I certainly, being in New York, sorry to, we're all East Coasters over here, but but we certainly see rezoning happening often to try to, I think there's I really also need to like get sharper on what's happening right at this moment, but there has been a lot of rezoning over the last decades where there's a much higher density of building happening, especially during the Bloomberg administration. He definitely paved the way for there to be a lot more development of condos around here. And also, one other thing I was also trying to Google while we're, because I just saw it. I saw an article by Fast Company about this Arizona neighborhood who doesn't let you own a car. And it's called Cul-de-sac, which is funny. It's a Phoenix suburb. You have to sign a contract saying you won't own a car, but the returns are, a lack of asphalt means you get significantly a cooler neighborhood. There's the absence of a parking lot, so there's green space. I don't know. I just saw this right before we jumped into this conversation. I thought, oh, isn't that cool? Like, there's another outside the box way of thinking of development and like how to create space. So I'll also pop that in the chat. Just
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I know that it's kind of funny that, I mean, I grew up in rural Iowa, so a car to me has always been like an essential thing to have. But in the generation that my daughter is in and their friends are in, like she's married, they have one vehicle. They live, closer in the city. But I do think that there is a little bit of a trend there that, you don't need 4 cars parked in your driveway. if you have 4 drivers, kind of thing, with things like Lyft and Uber, and people being more sensitive, I think, to sustainability and energy, and just the cost associated with, honestly, a 25-year-old, insurance on a car is, is like appreciable when they have to pay for it themselves and you no longer pay for it. So, maybe that's part of what comes into play there too. Derek Carter, rural Iowa for the win.
Yeah.
I lived almost directly in the middle of the state in a little town called Zering, Iowa. For those of you that wanted to know, but I've always kind of been a city girl. Grew up in the middle of nowhere, and enjoy being in the city. So we're at the bottom of the hour, ladies.
They
Oh,
went
no.
by so fast.
It
It
always does. It always does. Heidi, as always, you're the greatest resource for things. Everybody check out the articles from National Mortgage News that Heidi shared with us there. Amanda, one of our shining rising stars in the industry in our network. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is always such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having us. And again, Heidi, this is the award. What a great surprise. What a way to kick off our call. And we're so flattered and so humbled. And we love to see things like that, obviously. So, and of course, thank you for having me. I'm biased. TMC's got a soft spot in my heart.
So, thank you so much. This
Well,
has been
thanks
so much
everybody
fun.
for joining us. Everybody shoot Amanda Morrow happy birthday wishes on Saturday so she can feel the love of our TMC family. And I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time. Thanks so much, Heidi and Amanda.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.